Going to get started. Thank you all for being here with us tonight. I think that it started torrential downpouring about 15 minutes before we were supposed to start, so I'm happy to see so many people here to join us for our 7th and 8th grade parent night. My name is Michelle Pesci, and I'm the chairperson of the Pupil Personnel Services Department. I'm here tonight with our middle school counselors, Ms. Abby Tenisella and Mr. Dominic Gagnon. We also have our principal, Dr. Faccio, in the back. And we're here tonight just to provide you with a lot of information regarding 7th and 8th grade. Pupil Personnel Services, our department, is made up of 8 school counselors. We have 3 clinicians, 2 social workers and a school psychologist, the nurses, the attendance workers, speech and language teachers, and teachers of the deaf. So we're really the support service team here at New Hyde Park Memorial. This evening, we're going to go over a lot of different topics pertaining to 7th and 8th grade. We will hopefully answer all your questions, but if you do have any questions throughout the presentation, I just ask for you to hold them till the end. We're actually live recording this evening so that we can post this on our school website for parents that couldn't join us tonight. So just a brief overview of the things we'll discuss. We are going to go over the 7th and 8th grade schedules, what they look like. We'll talk a little bit about the wheel, which I'm sure you're a little bit familiar with if you've checked out your child's schedule. We're going to go over grades and report cards, how to access them, 7th and 8th grade assessments, the course selection process, so how they're going to prepare to take courses for the following school year. We'll talk about getting involved in school, clubs, sports, and activities, and how to do so. We'll discuss honor rolls and honor societies, academic support services. I know we handed out the homework center, which started a few weeks ago, to you already, but we'll go in depth about all the support services we have to offer. And then we'll talk about social emotional learning, some of the things that our department's doing with your current children in 7th and 8th grade to support their social and emotional wellness. Before I begin, I just want to thank the PTSA here. They joined us this evening. If you stick around till the end, there are a couple prizes that they are going to be giving out to select audience members. And they just wanted me to make one quick announcement. On November 3rd at 7 p.m. here at the high school, they're doing a paint night. So they have information at their desk if you're interested in getting involved with the PTSA. So we just thank them for being here tonight. So just to get started, without further ado, I want to introduce Ms. Tenisella. She's going to begin speaking about 7th and 8th grade schedules. Thank you.
Hello and welcome. Good evening. Before I start, I just wanted to translate for my Spanish-speaking families. No sé cuántas familias yo tengo aquí que hablan español, si pueden alzar la mano. Ok, tengo algunos. Rápidamente solo le quería dejar saber que yo hablo español. Obviamente si no entienden algunas cosas en inglés, usted puede venir hacia mí al terminar todo esto y yo le puedo contestar las preguntas. Okay, so let's get started. So right here, what you see in front of you is the sample 7th grade schedule. I think it's very important for all of our parents to know what your child is taking in 7th grade. So in this scenario, we have a student first period physical education, which is an every other day course. And typically, students take also, on the other days, they take band, or they have orchestra, general music, or chorus. It's every other day. So just to make it simple, just for you to understand, we go by days here, so we go by day 1 or 2. So in this example, let's say moving on to 2nd period, we have an elective course, it's Health 7. So for example, that may be on day 1, and then on day 2, it may be Innovators and Makers. I'll go a little bit more in depth about what this elective course is all about in the next couple of slides. Our 7th graders also have their core classes, which is science, English, they have their lunch, and we also allow them to take world language. So you may have noticed that your child has Spanish level A, Italian or French level A. And then they also have social studies, they have pre-algebra, and lastly, they have what we call here the wheel. I know that I've had many parents actually ask me, what is the wheel all about? I've heard of this, but I really don't understand. It's very simple. It's basically elective courses that change each marking period. So as you see on the slide, I provided a little image where you get to see how it works, how the wheel works throughout the year. So for example, you may have noticed that your child has started with Technology 7 for marking period 1. Once that ends, they move on to marking period 2 and they go into art. And they move on then after to marking period 3 and they go on to family consumer science. And then lastly, once that marking period ends, they go into medical detectives for marking period 4. And I'll explain a little bit more why we offer this at NHP and why we think it's very important for our 7th and 8th graders to have this course. But also keep in mind that sometimes, because our students need a support class, we may have to drop their wheel, or we may have to drop another elective course like Innovators and Makers. So you may have noticed that they don't have that, and they may have a Readers and Writers workshop, which is an every other day course, or they may have Math 8 workshop, which is basically just a support for them if they are struggling in math or in English. So right here you get to see sample 8th grade schedule. So the great advantage that we have, our students have here at NHP, is that they can take advanced coursework in the science or in mathematics. So in this scenario, we see a kid with a living environment. Most of our 8th graders have living environment, which means that at the end of the year, they have to take regents, which I'll explain a little bit more later. And then second period, they have living environment lab, which is every other day. And then they have an elective course, which is called Intro to Coding and App Design. They continue on to their second part of world language, which is Spanish level B, Italian, and French. And then based on recommendations that were done from their 7th graders from last year, they may have been recommended to go into the advanced course algebra, or they are in Math 8. They also have social studies, they have lunch, and they continue with their elective courses, the wheel, like I mentioned earlier. Each marking period, these electives change. And then they also, if they were in band last year in their 7th grade, they will continue in band 8 or in orchestra or chorus, which is an every other day course. And then they also have physical education, which is every other day. And then they have their English. And like I mentioned earlier, if they need a support class as well, we're going to have to drop their elective courses because, we can't fit everything in their schedule, so we try our best to have a perfect schedule. But, if they need that support class, that would be there in their schedule. Now, the 7th and 8th grade wheel. So one of the reasons why we offer here at NHP different elective courses is because we think it's very important for our middle schoolers, especially 7th and 8th grade, to start looking into different careers. Many of the times when I have met with my students individually, we begin to start asking questions like, what do you want to do when you get older? What do you want to possibly, pursue later on? And many of the times the students don't know, and that's okay, but this is the reason why we introduce them to different career paths, where they can later on, start questioning and say, what is this all about? What can I do with this career later on in life? And once they go into high school, they start meeting a lot with their high school counselors, and they start talking about different careers that they can pursue later on. So the first class that you see here is medical detectives. It's for our 7th graders. And in this class, it's basically they become a medical detective and they analyze genetic testing. They do a lot of studying of DNA evidence at a crime scene. And it's very fun. So they solve a lot of medical mysteries. The second elective that we offer here for our 8th graders is energy and the environment. And in this course, we challenge our students to think big. We want them to understand why energy is important for us and the world. The following elective is Family Consumer Science, which is offered to both our 7th and 8th graders. This is where they're talking about different topics and how to prepare for a successful life management, employment, and career readiness. We also offer technology for both our 7th and 8th graders. This class is very hands-on. They're learning a lot about technology and why it's important and how it has an impact in our lives. And at the end, they're giving this challenge where they have to design a therapeutic toy for a child who has cerebral palsy. And lastly, we have art for both our 7th and 8th graders. I've had a lot of kids who enjoy art. This is where they're learning how to draw, paint, craft, sculpture, printing. A lot of my kids and even parents have asked me if they can continue taking art later on. The answer is yes. We do have art electives at the high school level. And lastly, we have other elective courses that I've mentioned in the schedules that you've seen. Our 7th graders have Innovators and Makers 7. which is basically where they start exploring different topics in the area of STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So this is a coding class. This is where they're learning how to code, and I've had a lot of kids that come to my class and they tell me, to my office, and they tell me, you know, I want to continue taking this coding class, can I do it? And we do offer the next level, which is Intro to Coding and App Design for our 8th graders. And it's the same concept. They're learning how to create small programs called playgrounds, and they know how to write code. And the program that they use is called Swift. Now in this slide, we're going to talk about Infinite Campus Parent Portal. Many of you may have access to this parent portal, some of you may not. So right here, I have provided the hyperlink. You're going to get this, the slides later after the presentation is done. I have provided right here parent and student portals where you can select that tab and it will take you directly to the NHP website with instructions on how to create your account. Many of you who may not have an account, you could also contact campushelp@sawanacaschools.org, and they're going to be giving you an activation key, which is very important because you cannot have access to this account if you don't have this key. One of the reasons why we want you to have this parent portal is because this is where you get to see your students' progress. If they're missing any assignments, what are their grades like right now? And you also get to see the report cards. You get to see their attendance. And most importantly, you get to see their schedule. And if you have any questions or having any issues, you're more than welcome to contact us as well. Now, the 7th and 8th grade assessments. This is the exam schedule so far. Our 7th and 8th graders are scheduled to take the English assessment in the month of April. And then for the math, our 7th graders and only students in Math 8 will sit for this exam, not students in Algebra. They will not sit for this exam, only in Math 8. So that will take place in May. Many parents last year actually asked us if we can opt out our child. The answer is yes. The only way that you can opt them out is just giving us a note or emailing us or contacting the principal and letting us know that you want your child to be opted out of this exam. And keep in mind, this doesn't affect your child in any way. It's just an assessment that they're collecting statewide. They want to see if students are doing well in English and math. And lastly, we have the 8th grade high school credit-bearing courses. So as I mentioned earlier, the advantage here at NHP is that our students are very advanced. So they do have high school courses. So one of them being a world language. They can be in the second part of that, our 8th grader Spanish, level B, Italian, and French. They have to pass the course. And at the end of the year, in June of 2023, they have to call what we call it here a FLACS A exam. It's a local assessment where they have to pass, and if they pass both the class and the FLACS, they're able to get the 1 credit for high school. And then algebra and living environment. These 2 courses are very important as well. These are high school courses. They need to pass the course. And then at the end of the year, they have what we call here the New York State Regents exam, which is offered in June of 2023. It's very important that they take this Regents because it is a high school graduation requirement, and this is the only way they will obtain their Regents diploma. So once they pass the course and the living environment course, the algebra living environment, they will be awarded 1 high school credit. And then this will appear in their transcript. What does that mean? It means that once they have these 3 courses in their transcript, and later on when they start applying to colleges senior year, a lot of colleges are going to be looking at their grades. And this is what's going to determine if they get admitted or not to their school. And lastly, before I hand it over to Mr. Gagnon, I know that many students sometimes may struggle in some of these courses. Mr. Gagnon has handed out the homework center flyer. It's very important, and we encourage our kids, if they are struggling, to attend and to utilize all the resources that we have available. If they are currently struggling, they're going through some difficulty in these subjects, they can definitely contact us and we can work with them one-on-one. We can set up tutors for them as well. So thank you so much for hearing me, and now I'm going to pass it on to Mr. Gagnon.
Thank you. All right, when I say clap twice, clap twice. When I say clap 3 times, clap 3 times. Clap twice. Clap 3 times. Clap twice again. All right, it's a little exercise. We're going to get everyone, but let's go. All right, course selection process. So the course selection process begins in January. The counselors come into your child's classroom, and then we go over the courses that are going to be predisposed for next year. We meet with them individually. All those courses will be uploaded to the parent portal. You'll have access to all the courses that are pretty much going to be scheduled for next year. You won't see the particular schedule, but you'll see the different courses that will be selected for either 8th going into 9th, or in 7th going into 8th as well. So here's a couple of criteria for advanced placement courses. The board policy is 2 out of the following 3 criteria: 85 average in every class, teacher recommendation, and motivation and student interest. Teacher recommendations are made in January and reviewed again in June. So along with the guidance counselor, along with the teacher, and along with the parent recommendation, if they have an 85 or better, they have the option of taking an advanced placement course. We encourage all parents to contact their school's child counselor with any questions or concern. If they have any questions about the process, like either a particular course is not reflecting what we spoke about or what your child expects, you can easily send us an email. We'll call you back and we'll discuss it over the phone. 9th grade elective classes. For the 8th grade parents moving into 9th grade, you must choose at least one of the graduation requirements up top, which is studio art, performing music, band, chorus, or orchestra, architectural design, and technical drawing. You must choose at least one of those. The other elective classes are app design and development, intro to biomedical sciences, computer application. So when it says computer application and college credit, the student is able to gain 3 college credits in that particular class. The teacher aligns, primarily some of the courses that we have are aligned through Albany University, CW Post, Malloy, Adelphi University as well. The teacher will send out the scheduling information, how do you register for it, you'll pay in advance, and you can save some money. The other classes are Career and Financial Management, which is a half-year class, Business Communications, which is another half-year class, AP Human Geography. So the AP Human Geography is the first AP class any 9th graders like to take here at Hyde Park. In addition, on the bottom, Model UN and Science Research by recommendation only. Those are offered 0 period, so they're in the morning from 7:15 to 8 o'clock. A sample 9th grade schedule: math will be Algebra 1 or Geometry. English will be English 9 or English 9 Advanced. Social Studies will be Global 9 or Global 9 Advanced. Science will be Living Environment or Earth Science. Phys Ed will be opposite Science Lab, Math Lab, and English Skills class. Those supportive classes could be opposite the gym, because gym runs every other day along with the lab classes and the skills classes as well. We have art, music, or tech. You need one of those for a graduation requirement. Lunch, world language, and then another elective class if you want. The honor roll and honor societies are broken down into 3. One is high honor roll, which is students who have grades averaging 93 or no grade lower than an 85 will be included. Regular honor roll, students have grades averaging 88 and no grade lower than an 80 will be included. And then the principal's recognition list, students have grades averaging 85 and no grade lower than 75 will be included. So as the students get onto these honor rolls, high honor roll and regular honor roll, they gain a certain amount of awards. And you'll know more about that when your student is a senior. They'll be given a certain medal at the senior, it's typically the senior awards night. I'm sure you have a lot of questions. I can answer them definitely after. So the academic support services at Hyde Park, we have the teacher extra help. You can email, ask teachers when extra help is offered. An example is Mrs. Pesci email, so mpesci@sawankaschools.org. Operation Success is going to kick in after the first marking period is over. There'll be teachers in social studies, science, math, English, world language, and we're going to send the schedule out. It's either going to be before school or after school in a particular classroom. But one of the things that are going on now is Homework Center. That's going to be in the library from 3 to 4. It's Monday through Thursday. There are several teachers in there from several different subjects, and it's a great opportunity. It's booked every day. There's a lot of kids that go and ask specific questions, and if your child doesn't know where the library is, you can just email us and we can show them after school. It's pretty simple. Classrooms, and we have multiple options for resume building, career tech. In addition to that, we do have students learn, they take assessments. It's cool, it's very engaging. We go into the classrooms, we see your kids, and the best part about it is they have a resume builder on there. I've had plenty of friends that even call me on the phone and say, I need to do my resume. Do you mind if we have a software program? And it'll lead them right to Naviance. And it's great. You put your information in. So if they're a Girl Scout, a Boy Scout, do they play particular sports, anything, you can start building the resume now. So when they get to the high school level, the counselors can look back at it and they can start formulating ideas on how to further build the resume into the high school. Different clubs and activities. We have 1 million of them. They had a club fair in October. Students had the opportunity to go to see all the clubs and activities and their advisors and ask specific questions about how clubs are run, how often do they meet, is there a club fee involved. I for myself, have a massive club here. It's called the New Hyde Heroes. There's over 350 kids, and today was our first event. I'm not sure if anyone participates in it, but today we had movie day after school. We bought them candy, and we showed a Disney Plus movie, Werewolf by Night. So the next thing that we're going to do is a video game competition. It's going to be in the library, 128 players, and there's different prizes that we give out. We also have, we teach students how to collect action figures and comic books and have a vested interest in that. We do anime. We have artists come in from Marvel and DC, and they draw live characters, and then sometimes they sell their prints. It's a very popular club, so if they're interested, please email me. We'll get them in. If you want to scan the QR code, this will be sent to you. You can look up any information about any club advisor. And if you have any questions about, you can email us and say, I have no idea who to contact. My son or daughter wants to get involved in a club or activity. We'll pull them out of their lunch period, we'll sit them down, and we'll lead them in the right direction. So sports right now are fall sports. That's football, field hockey, volleyball, and then we work into the winter sports. So the best thing about junior high sports is they have the opportunity of playing 4 sports an entire year. That's 7th and 8th grade. There's no tryouts needed. It's our responsibility as coaches here to coach them up and to give them some information about the sport and to get them better. It's okay if they have no idea, what sport they want to play. I think it's important that they try something new. If they don't like it, they keep moving on. They just need a valid physical, an updated parent permission form, and really just, some interest in playing the sport. The spring sports are on there. The winter sports are there as well. And the district teams for the spring are gymnastics for junior high. And that's held here in Hyde Park. Parent-teacher conferences. Parents can sign up for 5 minutes of a private meeting with the teachers, and you guys can come see us too. You guys will get sent a link out, which will give the availability of myself and the other counselors in the building. And you can click on your time slot to meet with us individually. We can go over the current grades. We can go over, how the teachers, the information that the teachers gave you that particular night. And there's any adjustments that we can make in the schedule for next year, or anything we can implement now in the current future, right? That's our job to kind of make sure that's done, that particular day. Because you get a lot of information from the teachers, and anything that needs to be addressed, we'll do our best to address it that day. The date is Monday, November 7th, and the time is from 12 to 8. Social emotional learning is a big topic that we, have been going over and trying to get our hands around. We have a lot of support here at New Hyde Park. There's multiple school psychologists, which is Mrs. Chula, Mrs. Gianna Brusca, and the other social workers are Dr. Sanzone and Mrs. Bassett. So we have a very strong team ready to go at any moment. So if there's something that happens at home that you want to fill us in, something happens in school, we'll do our best to address it immediately. I have to say that's one of our strengths at New Hyde Park. If there's an issue, specifically we try to address it immediately. So whatever it is, there's a lot of drama that goes on in 7th and 8th grade, we all know it, and things get out of hand quite quickly. So if you find yourself in a position where you need to call or come up directly, please feel free just to come in and walk in without an appointment. We'll sit down and meet with you right away. It's a very important topic for us, and we do our best to, the emotional well-being of every child in this building is our priority. Some final notes. The counselors in Newbury Park are always available to help, as I just said. If any questions or concerns after this, you can always address us, you can always call us. My door is always open, Mrs. Pesci's door is open, Ms. Tenesali's door is always open. Please come up and ask us. Sure, thank you.
Just before we open it up to questions, I did just want to mention a few of the things that are happening now with our middle school counselors because they're doing some really great things with your children. So one of the things that we started this year is called Gladiator Game Day. I don't know if Ms. Tenesal wants to come up too and just talk about a couple of the things we're doing. So Gladiator Game Day, they're doing monthly game themes in the cafeterias and trying to engage students to meet other students, meet other middle school students, engage with them, work on their social skills, and really build relationships with each other. They did their first Gladiator Game Day a couple weeks ago where they set up multiple Jenga tables and we had a really great turnout with our middle school students. They had a lot of fun. They've been asking when are they doing the next one, and I think we're doing Connect 4, I believe, for our next Gladiator Game Day next month. Building connections is the theme to kind of get students engaged with each other. We also have our social emotional learning lessons that we're starting in 2 weeks. Our first lesson, Mr. Gagnon's actually spearheading that program. We're doing Guardians of the Gladiator Galaxy, and we're talking about internet safety, and we're really kind of making the theme around Marvel and all the things Mr. Gagnon talked about with his club, getting the kids involved, and each month the counselors will be pushing into the middle school classrooms to do different character education lessons as well. And lastly, the counselors are part of the team, so the blue team and the white team, and they're most recently assessing right now the needs of the students in the teams to talk about how they can develop some groups to go on in 7th and 8th grade. So there's, assessing, do we need to work on some social skills? What do we need to work on to really get students in and support them and build some groups and really work with those students? So I just wanted to mention those things. Did I miss anything?
Sorry, go back and forth. I actually have a group, if anyone's interested, just email me. It's called Coming Out of Your Shell, the Ninja Turtles Project. And we go over different types of, who are the Ninja Turtles, and they pick their favorite one, and we kind of get into this whole realm of, taking those characteristics and applying them into school. So if you're Leonardo, he's the leader of the Ninja Turtles, how can you become a better leader in school? And it goes down that rabbit hole in terms of, my idea is distracting the kids to learn. And I think at the end of the day, if they learn something from, they'll remember the Ninja Turtles and they'll remember, how to become a better leader. So any parent is interested, just email me. I'll put them on the list and you'll get the information. It's not finalized yet, but that's going to be one of the projects that will be coming down very soon. Any questions? We'll be free after if you want to approach us individually. We'll be more than happy to address any questions you have. If we got the roll wrong, we'll fix it and adjust it. That's it. Thank you for coming. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your busy schedules, and we will be up here fielding any questions that you have. Thank you.